The story follows Kaoru, a lonely bum whose only hobby is simping over fictional women. He is also not a very bright student and is only on the edge of failing his courses. On his way home, Kaoru starts to believe that he might not remain a failure all his life and might score some hot chicks in the future. Just then, a hot chick appears right before him, and when she tries asking him something and gets a bit close to his face, Kaoru gets flustered and runs away. After reaching home, he walks inside and gets shocked to find the same girl waiting for his return. Without any hesitation, he makes herself at home and questions if he's a failure. Although hesitant, Kaoru agrees with her, and for some reason, this cheers her up. He is then asked to elaborate, and Kaoru reveals that he has no friends and is a bad student who is not particularly good at anything. Upon hearing this, she calls him a perfect failure, but Kaoru ignores all the red flags and starts to wonder if she's interested in him, as it wouldn't make sense for her to barge into his room otherwise. After that, the girl starts to get closer and, all of a sudden, stabs him with a knife. Shocked, Kaoru screams in pain and tries getting away, but the girl repeatedly stabs him and ultimately mentions that she's what people call a Grim Reaper. As he lies on the ground, Kaoru asks the reason she did this and gets told by the girl that failures should die. According to her, failures rarely contribute to society, and in order to ensure the progression of successful people, the useless ones need to die. With that being said, Kaoru accepts his fate, and as he bleeds out, he comments on how he wants to change and become successful in the future. Hearing that girl freaks out and quickly restores Kaoru to his original state. Afterward, she yells at him for not telling her that beforehand, as if she eliminates someone who plans on becoming successful, her salary gets lowered as a penalty. Knowing that he's sure to be slain if he doesn't lie, Kaoru makes her believe that he plans to become successful and tells her that there's a girl he's planning to confess to tomorrow. She believes his lie and gives him time until tomorrow, and with that, she leaves. The following day at school, Kaoru puts love letters in the lockers of several girls, and to his shock, one of them, named Yui, comes up to him and suggests getting to know each other better before going out. Once she leaves, Kaoru celebrates, thinking that he might not need to die now, when, unexpectedly, another girl appears. That girl, Lisa, straight up agrees to go out with him. Similarly, Emily also agrees, and so does Aoi, which comes as a surprise, even to a Grim Reaper. Moreover, she makes sure to mock him for quadruple timing, as he never expected something like this to happen. Nonetheless, she mentions that there are still 3 months left until her soul-culling deadline and introduces herself as Eri. For now, she will wait 3 months for him to return to his life as a failure because she's sure that his quadruple timing thing will fall apart soon. After returning home, Kaoru thinks to himself that he only wanted to experience the manga-type romance, but ended up quadruple timing. Not only Yui but Lisa, Emily, and Aoi all have agreed to date him, which is a shocking turn of events for someone like Kaoru who suffers from chronic zero-res syndrome. Knowing that he has to maintain his life as a successful guy, Kaoru believes that he needs to break up with 3 of them. To make this a reality, he starts brainstorming on whether making the girls like another guy and hate him is a good choice. However, he figures that this plan is still too risky and thinks of running away. Just as he pulls down his pants to change his clothes, Kaoru notices Eri peeping on him, causing him to freak out and hide his non-existent peanut. After making fun of his cliché reaction, Eri tells Kaoru that she will be in his care from now on and reveals her room in the Grim Reaper world that she connected to Kaoru's storeroom. She did this to keep an eye on him and make sure he doesn't try running away. A few days later, Eri comes to his room, telling Kaoru that it'll be inconvenient for her if he dies on his own. Moreover, she mentions that he hasn't been to school for 3 days, advising him to see a doctor if he's sick. However, Kaoru reassures her that he's perfectly fine and the reason he's staying home is to become the next Meat King. Since quadruple timing is something impossible to achieve from the start, there is a chance that the girls might find out about it, so his best course of action is to hole himself up in his room and wait out these 3 months. Eri looks at him with disappointed eyes, saying that, as much as she hates it, Kaoru keeping up the appearance of dating counts as a success. Overjoyed, Kaoru decides to spend this time playing video games, and before long, the doorbell rings. Thinking that the books he ordered have arrived, he happily goes to the door, only to find Lisa standing outside, wearing a shirt that's barely containing her cannons. As expected, Kaoru freaks out and wonders why she is at his house. Lisa says that she wanted to check up on him since he hasn't been to school for 3 days. Kaoru lets her know that he has already recovered, and after finding out that Kaoru's parents are not home, she decides to head inside. At first, Kaoru tries to stop her, knowing that if any of the other girls appear, he wouldn't be able to make any excuses. But when she argues that it's perfectly normal for a girlfriend to visit, Kaoru says that he wouldn't want her to get sick because of him. However, she came prepared with a mask, leaving Kaoru no choice but to let her inside. There, Eri introduces herself to Lisa as Kaoru's little sister and takes her to Kaoru's room. Kaoru, who witnessed this all, confronts Eri, asking why she's meddling with his business when her only job is to observe him. Eri replies by saying that she's not allowed to directly destroy the relationship of her target, bringing some relief to Kaoru. Following that, the two of them sit in his room, and Lisa eventually breaks the silence by asking why he isn't sleeping. After Kaoru mentions that he's now fully recovered, Lisa lets out a smile, making Kaoru figure that she was really worried about him. Moreover, after taking a better look at her, Kaoru realizes that she's a total knockout, and not only her but the other three are baddies as well. This is why he's curious about why they accepted his confession and decided to finally ask her about it. But before he gets the chance, Lisa speaks up, asking Kaoru how he takes care of his naughty desires. Shocked, Kaoru says that he must not have heard her correctly because of the mask, and Lisa repeats it without any hesitation. Furthermore, she begins getting close to his face, asking if the Premium Hub subscription is on his phone or laptop. Ultimately, curiosity gets the best of her, and Lisa tries to take a look for herself. To protect his self-respect, Kaoru tries to stop her and accidentally pushes her towards himself. While sitting on his lap, Lisa says that she'll do it if he likes it that much. But to Kaoru's disappointment, all Lisa does is give him an adult magazine as a present. Turns out she bought it herself, as Lisa believes that it's important to satisfy the intimate desires of one's partner to lengthen the relationship. After that, she shows him the beginner's love manual she reads and gets annoyed after seeing him grinning about it. Kaoru tells her that she's misunderstanding and says that he finds her studying love so diligently pretty cute. Upon hearing that, Lisa gets flustered and reveals that she has never been in a relationship. Realizing that her first boyfriend is a quadruple-timing idiot, Kaoru's guilt only continues to increase. Nonetheless, Kaoru makes up his mind to do everything he can to make up for it and asks Lisa to let him borrow the love manual, saying that he'll study hard and make sure the two of them can be together for a long time. But this is only a temporary fix, as he plans to confess everything after 3 months. Just then, their conversation gets interrupted by Eri, who enters the room with some tea. Seeing this, Kaoru realizes that he didn't serve tea to his girlfriend when she came to his house for the first time, and ends up thanking Eri for the help. Before he could recover from this, Kaoru noticed Yui standing in the hallway, and his soul almost left his body. Eri then mentions that Yui was wandering around at the front door, so she let her in. While Lisa believes that it's a nice gesture, Kaoru thinks the complete opposite. Still hesitant, Yui asks if she can come inside, to which Eri happily agrees. Her actions make Kaoru understand that Eri can't interfere with words, so she's planning to interfere indirectly. Once she has worsened the situation, Eri takes her leave. Kaoru decides not to freak out yet, as his quadruple timing hasn't been revealed. Before long, the girls start talking to each other and find out that they both came to check up on Kaoru. Ultimately, Lisa strays away from the topic and tells Yui that Kaoru is not a popular person. Additionally, he doesn't even have friends and is treated nothing more than thin air. This is why she's curious how someone like that got to know an upperclassman like her and an idol like Yui. Worried, Kaoru tries to intervene, but Yui ends up revealing that the two of them are dating. Upon hearing that, Lisa gives him the coldest stare known to men, making him realize that his life is very much over. Luckily, Yui then takes it back, saying that she was just joking. Moreover, she informs Lisa by saying that the two of them are just friends. This makes Kaoru wonder if she accepted his confession just to mock him later, but even if that's the case, Kaoru can't really complain, and he now managed to get it down to triple timing. Yui then asks if Lisa's also his friend, and just when she's about to reveal the secret, Kaoru throws his teacup at her. Lisa manages to block it, and the tea ends up spilling on Yui, leaving her drenched. While Lisa apologizes to her, Kaoru notices her visible plot covers, leaving him no choice but to look away. Judging by his reaction, Yui realizes what's up and turns away. Simultaneously, Kaoru calls Eri and tells her to dry Yui off. Once the two of them leave, Lisa asks if Kaoru threw the cup on purpose, saying that it's almost as if he was aiming to hit her. She begins to think that he's hiding the truth and says that he's actually a leecher. According to Lisa, he must have wanted to see her in a wet shirt but accidentally got Yui drenched instead. Soon after, Eri returns, telling Kaoru that she doesn't know where the dryer is. But before going to look for it, Kaoru asks Lisa to keep the fact that they are dating a secret from others. When she questions the reason, Kaoru says that he's an average Joe, and if everyone found out, they might think less of her. But when Lisa argues that she doesn't care about any of that, Kaoru mentions that he won't be able to take it if someone speaks badly of her. Once she agrees, Kaoru leaves the room and gives Yui his mother's hairdryer. But just as he decides to walk away, Yui stops him and asks if he's angry about how she hid their relationship from Lisa. The truth is she can't tell other people because she's an idol, and it'd be worse if there were a scandal about it. After he reassures her that he's not angry at all, Yui comments that his sister and Lisa are away, which makes this a perfect chance for them to do some stuff lovers do. At first, Kara gets excited, wondering what stuff she's talking about. But as expected, disappointment soon hits when he realizes that all Yui meant was letting him dry her clothes. However, seeing a hot drenched chick sitting right in front of her does make his little guy act up. This makes Yui ask if he's thinking of dirty things and decides to punish him for that. Even though Kara reassures her that it's nothing like that, she only chooses to let it slide with a flick to his forehead. Without thinking much, Kaoru agrees, but his delusional brain starts to wander around, thinking if she's going to kiss him. But all he receives is a flick to the forehead, a pretty brutal one. Witnessing his reaction, Yui begins to get excited, telling Kaoru that his pitiful face looks adorable. Furthermore, she requests to let her hit him one more time, making Kaoru believe that she might be a sadist. In the meantime, Yui begins looking for something hard to hit him with, and knowing that things can get worse, Kaoru decides to book it. Sadly, she gets a hold of him and ends up getting on top, telling Kaoru that he's not allowed to run away. When Kaoru tells her that he doesn't like pain, Yui questions if he likes feeling good instead and starts pulling his hand towards her blooming bosoms. While doing that, Yui ponders about the stuff going on in his mind when she's doing stuff like that and asks if she really has that kind of appeal. Kaoru agrees with what she just said and asks if they are done. But to his shock, Yui starts getting close to his face, but instead of his lips, she begins munching on his ear, calling it punishment for thinking of dirty stuff. She doesn't stop even when he screams in pain, and at this point, Kaoru realizes that she's a hardcore sadist. Before long, Lisa makes an appearance, saying that they get along well. It turns out to be Aries doing, who purposefully made Lisa come this way. Without wasting any time, Kaoru starts thinking of the most plausible excuse that can get him out of this situation, but after thinking for a while, he realizes that no such excuse exists. Suddenly, Yui starts bawling and talks about how glad she is that Kaoru woke up. After that, Yui tells Lisa that Kaoru lost consciousness and figures that it must be because of how much he's moving when she still has a fever. Upon hearing this, Lisa confronts Kaoru for saying that she was alright and gets told by Yui that he must not have wanted to make them worry. Eventually, she understands the situation, but one thing she can't wrap her mind around is Yui biting his ear. Realizing that she saw this much, Kaoru figures that it's over, but Yui comes in clutch, telling Lisa that since ears are a sensitive part of the body, she did it as a last resort. Shockingly, she believes this excuse, telling Yui that it's natural to do this kind of stuff. With that being said, the two of them decide to leave. Once they are gone, Eri puffs her cheeks in frustration, making Kaoru wonder if she's annoyed that a war didn't break out. Eri replies by saying that it doesn't matter because as long as he stays in NEET, such opportunities will keep arising. But to her shock, Kaoru decides not to become a NEET and go to school, saying that it's easier for him to run into the girls. A few days later, Kaoru is finally on his way to school, thinking of the other two girls he hasn't met. For the time being, he decides to call them somewhere without people, only to notice the hefty amount of missed calls he has received. For a loner who only receives calls from telemarketers, this comes as a big surprise. Nonetheless, he decides to apologize to them and ask them to meet him on the school roof. Suddenly, Aoi grabs him from behind and thinks that she might have seen him calling Emily. Kaoru instantly hangs up. Luckily, she didn't notice and is glad that Kaoru managed to overcome his fever. He apologizes to her for not picking up her call and begins staring at her intently. This makes her flustered enough to leave, and when Kaoru invites her to meet later, she refuses due to practice after school. Now that he's all alone, Kaoru calls Emily again, and this time, she appears right behind him. Without any hesitation, Emily punches him and continues doing so despite his asking her to stop. Thinking that she must be angry, Kaoru apologizes, prompting her to stop. After she's settled down, Kaoru explains the situation regarding his fever and receives a bland reply, followed by Emily telling him that they are breaking up. Flabbergasted, Kaoru says that it's too early to arrive at that conclusion and tries to stop her. He keeps apologizing and gets told by Emily to meet her after school is over. Although he wants to avoid going out somewhere with just the two of them, Kaoru can't help it, as apologizing to Emily is his priority. Eventually, he finds her waiting for him after school, and looking at her from afar makes Kaoru realize how far out of his league she is. Luckily, she notices him, and instead of calling him out, Emily starts walking the other way. Having no other choice, Kaoru follows her, and no matter how many times he tries talking to her, she never replies. After taking a short train ride, the two of them arrive at an internet cafe where Emily books a room for two. Upon entering their private room, Kaoru once again tries apologizing for not picking up her phone, and as expected, she totally ignores him. However, Emily eventually speaks up, telling him to prove it if he really likes her. Curious, Kaoru asks how he should go on with it. Furthermore, he realizes that they are in a private room that's often used for dirty stuff, and thinking that Emily might want the same, Kaoru starts to panic. However, he quickly takes this thought out of his mind. After waiting long enough, Emily decides to do it herself, telling him to be confident. Concerned, Kaoru mentions that they are still too young for such stuff, to which Emily replies by saying that they should just do it regardless of age. With that being said, she begins taking off her ribbon. Soon after, she gets embarrassed and kicks him out of the room. This makes Kaoru realize that if she's embarrassed to be seen undressing, it must mean that she's inexperienced, which is more of a reason not to do such stuff. Deciding to act the part of a good boyfriend, Kaoru finally enters the room. He expresses how important she is to him and his wish to wait until they know each other better before doing something like that. However, his courage comes crashing down when he witnesses her wearing different clothes, playing video games like it's no big deal. Realizing that he misunderstood the situation once again, Kaoru falls to the ground in embarrassment. When he asks the reason she changed her clothes, Emily mentions that it'd be rude to play such a divine game in anything other than a full uniform. While she enjoys the game, Kaoru asks about what he should be doing and gets told to do whatever he wants. She further adds by saying that he just needs to be by her side, to which he agrees. As Kaoru continues watching her game, he notices that her gamer tag looks familiar and remembers that it's the same person he played this game with when he had shut himself in. After defeating the boss character, Emily smirks and begins trash-talking in the game chat, boasting about her unmatched skills. Reading her chat reminds Kaoru that she wrote the same stuff when they played together, and he decides not to reveal it because all he did was drag her down. Moreover, he figures that a normal student partakes in club activities or spends time with friends on weekends, which prompts him to ask if she doesn't have any friends. Upon hearing that, she gives him the deadly stare and starts punching him, telling Kaoru that she has a lot of internet friends and that he shouldn't lump her in with someone like himself, who eats alone on the rooftop. Kaoru interrupts the beating session to ask how she knows about it when he's the only one who's been up there. She gets flustered when asked that question and continues the beating, blaming Kaoru, as that was going to be her special seat. Curious, he asks what she means by that, but Emily gets even more flustered and begins beating him instead. Ultimately, Kaoru explains that he needs some explanation so he can apologize if something was done wrong. Turns out it happened 4 months ago when Emily first joined this school. She was always praised for being an ultra-rich daughter of a politician, but there were some who were afraid of her as well. All this gossip was noise to her, and to escape this all, Emily one day decided to eat her lunch on the rooftop. But upon reaching that place, she found Kaoru, who was already busy enjoying his lunch. Having no other choice, Emily decided to eat her lunch behind the rooftop door. The next day, she tried reaching the rooftop before Kaoru, only to find him present there already. Once it keeps happening, Emily figures that his class must be on a higher floor than hers, hence the reason he manages to acquire the spot before her. While eating her lunch, Emily began noticing Kaoru reading his manga. Sometimes, he cried, while other times he laughed, and he eventually started gaining Emily's interest as well. Moreover, when someone used to try going to the rooftop, she used to scare them off. After noticing him long enough, she started to believe that Kaoru was true to his feelings just like she was, and this is the reason she was okay with going out with Kaoru. After telling this story, Emily decided not to talk about it anymore, leaving Kaoru devastated, who was fully aware of his quadruple timing scenario. Nonetheless, he still thanked Emily for telling him everything as it genuinely made him happy. On their way home, Emily told Kaoru that she's pretty loaded and questioned the reason he paid for the internet cafe. In reply, Kaoru mentions that he can't let a girl pay for him, prompting Emily to wonder if he isn't embarrassed trying to farm aura in a jam-packed train. Before long, Kaoru gets pushed by the crowd, and he accidentally grabs Emily's mosquito bite-sized melons. Furthermore, he fails to move his hand thanks to the bag in his way, forcing them to stay in that position for quite some time. After exiting the train, Kaoru tries his best to explain the situation to Emily, thinking that he just ruined it all. Lastly, he asks to let him walk her home as it can be dangerous for a girl this late at night. However, she refused, saying that her dad would be coming to pick her up, and when Kaoru tried meeting him, Emily straight up refused, telling Kaoru that she didn't want anyone to know about their relationship. She also warns him not to speak a word about it to anyone, and with that being said, she leaves. But since they are still going out, Kaoru figures that she's still okay with whatever happened. Meanwhile, Emily, who is on her way home, thinks about how embarrassing that little hot moment between them was and is thankful that Kaoru is someone who doesn't use her as a wallet. At the same time, Aoi is present with a girl at the same train station and ends up noticing Kaoru among the crowd. The following day, he dreams of a girl sitting under a tree, sobbing. His younger version walks up to her and tries asking if something is wrong. But before she replies, Kaoru wakes up and finds a camera levitation right above his face. He instantly figures that it must be Eri's doing and confronts her for what she's doing. Realizing that he noticed, Eri gets frustrated over the camera not getting invisible with her body, saying that it must be due to the fact that it is a human world item. Apparently, she wanted to photograph his sleeping face, and when Kaoru asks what she plans on doing with her camera, Eri lets him know that she wants to photograph scenes of him meeting with the girls. At first, she thought that it would be fun, but it makes no sense if the camera is still visible. This conversation between them makes Kaoru wonder how she gets the money to buy all these gadgets, and she asks if she is someone who's incredibly rich. If that is the case, he believes that there's no reason for her to go out of her way to take her soul. Eri replies by saying that yen is a currency of the human world, and as a Grim Reaper, she can do many things, such as counterfeiting. Later on, Kaoru leaves for school, and on his way, Kaoru thinks about how he has successfully stopped 3 girls from talking about their relationship. But at the same time, he can't let his guard down as one mistake can cost him a lot. Suddenly, someone pushes him from behind, and it turns out to be Aoi, greeting him with a good morning. After that, she reassures him that no matter what day it is, she has loved him this whole time. Hearing her say that gives Kaoru the creeps, but she soon returns to her usual form and asks to meet him after school. Kaoru instantly agrees since he has something to discuss as well. Later that day, Kaoru is present at the infirmary to hide himself from the girls, as there's no telling when someone might see him. Out of nowhere, Yui appears and asks if he's not feeling alright. Kaoru disagrees and says that he just ate too much, and gets told by Yui that she has been feeling pretty tired lately. Hearing this makes Kaoru realize that juggling school with her idle job must be tough. Just then, Yui notices the time and tries to leave, but gets dizzy on the way. Luckily, Kaoru manages to catch her, giving her the perfect chance to bite his ears. Just like before, she doesn't go easy on him and bites hard enough to make him scream. But at the same time, her planets start to press against Kaoru, prompting him to endure the pain. Once she's done, Kaoru comes to realize that dating her means putting up with such suffering. Nonetheless, Yui decides to leave for real now and thanks Kaoru, as biting his ears helped cheer her up. After school ends, Kaoru goes to the swimming pool to meet up with Aoi, only to find it empty. At first, he wonders if she already left, but then he notices her floating in the pool, totally lifeless. After calling her a few times and getting no response, he begins to panic and starts thinking that she might have drowned. Ultimately, he lunges towards the pool and jumps, but at the same time, Aoi wakes up. After getting him out of the pool, Aoi apologizes, saying that she got tired after practice and dozed off. Moreover, she offers him her school uniform until his clothes dry off, but he refuses, saying that the hoodie she gave him is good for now. After settling down, they both stay quiet for some time, unsure of what to talk about. Eventually, Kaoru remembers his duties as a man and tries making the first move, but before he gets the chance, Aoi yells and jumps into the pool. Furthermore, she starts swimming to calm her nerves and ends up apologizing for getting nervous and not being able to talk. Hearing her say that, Kaoru begins introducing himself and adds every minor detail, including his blood type and the things he likes. After he's done, Kaoru advises her to tell him about herself, so that he can know all about her. This gets the conversation started, and they find out that both of their birthdays lie in August. While Aoi is a bit bummed that she can't celebrate her birthday due to summer break, it doesn't really faze Kaoru, who doesn't have any friends to celebrate it with. Later on, he notices her shivering and asks if she's cold, to which Aoi agrees, telling him that she's been swimming for a long time. This results in Kaoru offering her his hand to pull Aoi out of the pool. This situation reminds him that it's pretty similar to the scenes in manga where a boy pulls the girl up. But he deeply misunderstood the situation, as instead of pulling her up, his frail body ended up dropping in the pool, making him look utterly pathetic. However, his falling in the pool brings the two of them pretty close to each other, causing them to get embarrassed and pull away from each other. But Aoi seems to like what just happened as she swims towards Kaoru and hugs him, asking to stay like this for a while. Apparently, she wants to be warmed by his body heat, and if that's all, Kaoru doesn't mind at all since he's getting his fair share of service as well. Yet, the thought of his little buddy waking up when he's not wearing anything below scares Kaoru, as he's aware that Aoi might totally slay him for reacting that way. During the hug, Aoi mentions that she was worried about a lot of things, and Kaoru totally understands her concerns, as the two of them haven't had a proper conversation till now. After they are done, Kaoru makes sure to apologize for making her worry, and Aoi reassures him that it's fine because he was able to confirm his feelings. After that, she calls his name and closes her eyes, prepared to experience her first kiss. Realizing the situation, Kaoru begins to panic, but at the same time, he is aware that making a girl do this much is a shame to his manliness. In the end, instead of kissing her, he touches his finger with her lips and tells Aou that letting his girlfriend make the first move wouldn't be nice. Furthermore, he promises to kiss her one day and asks her to wait until then. Flustered, Aou praises him for being wonderful and reminds him of how much she loves him. On their way out, Aoi comments on how happy she is after talking with him and asks if he saw her message. Realizing that he missed it, Aoi says that she asked whether they should keep their relationship a secret. Turns out a lot of boys in her class hide it, which is why she wants to take Kaoru's suggestion under consideration. Hearing these words makes Kaoru think of Aoi as an angel, and he ultimately asks her to keep their dating a secret, to which she agrees. With that being said, Aoi leaves, and Kaoru sits by himself to reflect on what just happened. Before leaving for home, he decides to check his messages and finds one from Lisa, one from Yui, but none from Emily. But after taking a closer look, he notices that Aoi has been messaging him, but after not receiving a reply, she has been making things up and giving herself negative replies on his behalf. Even though he hasn't replied to her once, all her messages were decided for him. That's not the only thing, as Aoi has already messaged him almost 400 times when it hasn't been a week since they started going out. One of these messages includes Aoi asking about what happened yesterday, and the only thing he can remember is his date with Emily. Suddenly, she appears right behind him and shows Kaoru a photo of him with Emily. Before he could even reply, Aoi started shouting, telling him that only terrible things come to her mind and asking if what she's thinking is really the truth. Having no excuse, Kaoru apologizes and gets asked by Aoi if she should interpret his apology as him admitting to everything shown in the picture. At first, Kaoru agrees and then informs Aoi that Emily asked for his help because she was lost. He believes that it must have been hard for her to be in an unfamiliar station, which is why he led her to the place she wanted to go. After hearing his explanation, Aoi returns to her usual self, saying that it's hard to imagine someone as rich as Emily taking the train. Luckily, she also helped someone at the train station yesterday, which helped her believe his lie. She's glad that it was just a misunderstanding, as if it weren't, she wouldn't know what she could have done to him. With that being said, Aoi apologizes for doubting him and asks if he hates him now. Kaoru reassures her that he doesn't and pats her head, asking her not to worry. However, she mentions that in order for her not to worry, he must hold her. Knowing that the situation is quite sensitive right now, Kaoru is left with no choice but to comply. Eventually, the two of them hug each other once again, and this time, Aoi tells him to hold her tighter. Kaoru agrees and starts strengthening his grip, however, on that cake instead of her body. Flustered, she asks him not to touch there, and when Kaoru apologizes, she easily forgives him, saying that if it's him, everything can be forgiven. This brings tears to his eyes as Kaoru thinks about how much he could have enjoyed this if he weren't quadruple timing. After returning home, he eats dinner and takes a shower, thinking that he somehow prevented the girls from talking to each other. Since he did a bunch of stuff he isn't used to, Kaoru is a bit tired and is ready to finally catch up on his sleep. But as soon as he enters his room, he gets greeted by Eri, who is now wearing a different outfit. This time, she has acquired the role of an old-fashioned Japanese wife. Kaoru, who is obviously creeped out by this, gets told by Eri that taking care of the body of his beloved brother is only natural for a younger sister. After that, she asks him to relax and offers some tea. Since anything she makes is suspicious, Kaoru decides not to drink it. She then asks if he enjoyed school and remembers everything that happened with the girls. He agrees, telling her that it wasn't that bad. But as soon as she hears that, Eri loses her cool and flips the tea tray in frustration. Moreover, Eri tells Kaoru not to hide it, as she's sure something must have happened. This makes Kaoru wonder if she did something behind the scenes. Realizing that he might have found out, she returns to her room and starts watching some anime, making sure to completely ignore his question. Now that he thinks about it, Kaoru realizes how weird it was that Aoi just happened to be at the same station where he and Emily were. But for now, he decides to keep it a secret from Eri to make her think that her plan didn't work. After that, Kaoru notices that he has already seen the anime Eri is currently watching, and out of nowhere, she interrupts her, asking Eri if she wants to go on a date with him. As expected, she gets hella suspicious and questions if he plans on capturing her heart to try and stop getting targeted. Kaoru disagrees, saying that he just wanted to let off some steam due to how hectic these past days have been. Furthermore, the movie of the anime she's watching is airing right now, so it would be a good idea to watch it together. Upon finding this out, Eri agrees without a second thought, and he asks her to meet him in front of the train station on Sunday, while she remains completely unaware of the secret plan he has cooked up. Finally, it's Sunday, and the fake sibling pair arrives at the theater to watch the movie. While Eri watches the movie on her own, Kaoru secretly leaves to meet up with Lisa. After meeting up with her, he apologizes for being late and suggests getting some food together. Apparently, he pulled those shenanigans with Eri to make sure his actual date with Lisa goes well. At first, he thought that maintaining a bare minimum interaction with the girls was the way to go, but Kaoru has now realized that he needs to make an effort to make sure that they all keep their feelings for him. Soon after, Lisa asks the reason he wanted to come here for their date when there are a lot of places nearby. He comes clean and tells Lisa that it's because he didn't want them to be seen by everyone. At the restaurant, Lisa sits uncomfortably close to Kaoru, and when he reminds her that there are other places to sit as well, Lisa says that the proper arrangement for a couple is to sit next to one another. With that being said, he attacks his meal and grabs a meatball. At first, Kaoru wonders if he's trying to eat it, but to his shock, Lisa tries feeding him instead. Seeing him hesitate, Lisa figures out the problem and begins blowing on the meatball to make it cooler. After that, she tries feeding him again, and seeing that he's still not ready for it, Lisa tells him that a couple must feed each other when eating together. Just then, she witnesses a bunch of girls watching them and whispering to themselves, leaving her embarrassed. Ultimately, they decide to eat their own food, and now that the atmosphere has gotten quite awkward, Kaoru makes up his mind to break the ice. But before he gets the chance to say anything, he notices her shivering after the realization that she forgot to do her morning review. Without wasting any time, she grabs her reviewing notes and begins studying while paying no attention to her surroundings. Wondering if the date is this boring, Kaoru asks if she really needs to review right now, to which Lisa agrees, telling her that there's no meaning to her life other than her studies. Judging by her reaction, Kaoru figures that something is wrong and asks Lisa to tell him about it. She gathers up the courage and reveals that it was just a bit of self-loathing. Apparently, she got so preoccupied with their date and forgot to study. With that, Lisa makes sure to put her study material away and apologizes for ruining their date. However, Kaoru finds it quite wonderful that she was looking forward to the date so much that she forgot something so important. When she gets bashful and tries to disagree, Kaoru makes sure to tease her about it. Moreover, he tells Lisa that just an apology wouldn't cut it and tells her to do something he wants. Upon hearing him say that, she figures that it must be some lecherous act this down bad loner is starving to perform. But Kaoru reassures her that it's nothing like that and tells Lisa that instead of an apology, he wishes her to focus on the date and have fun. Once they are done with the food, Kaoru makes up his mind to make sure the rest of the date remains enjoyable. Suddenly, Lisa asks him to go on ahead without her. Thinking that she must still be pissed, Kaoru questions the reason, asking her to tell him if something is wrong. But all Lisa says is that she wishes to powder her nose and walks away, leaving him alone. As he roams around the train station, she witnesses Yui walking around, and just as their eyes meet, Kaoru instantly hides to get away from her. However, his hiding spot causes him to run into Emily and Aoi as well, leaving him no choice but to hide in the bathroom stall. But just as Kaoru thinks that he can get away, he receives a text from all three, asking him to meet up. Kaoru figures that it can't be Eri's doing, and as there's no real excuse he can make right now, meeting them is the only option. But first, he needs to slip away from Lisa at all costs, and to make this happen, Kaoru suggests watching the movie about the zesty dude, something Lisa has no interest in. He tries his best to make her believe that it's the best movie to watch right now, and eventually, she agrees with him. During the movie, she ends up falling asleep, which gives Kaoru the perfect opportunity to slip away. Knowing the movie ends in 90 minutes, he has time to meet each girl for a few minutes, and the first girl he chooses is Aoi. She admits her fault for calling him out so suddenly and informs Kaoru that she is out shopping with some upperclassmen. At first, she had planned to shop closer to home, but her plans changed after receiving a newsletter in her email about a sale. Hearing this makes Kaoru believe that it must be Eri's doing, and when she questions what he's doing here, Kaoru says that he's shopping with his family as well. After giving him that creepy stare, Aoi tells him to get back, as his family must be waiting for him. But when it's time to go, Aoi starts looking a bit down, and when asked if something is wrong, she dismisses it and starts walking away. However, just as Kaoru is about to leave, Aoi comes running and hugs him from behind, telling Kaoru that she loves him. Additionally, she admits not having the courage to say it to his face, hence the reason she did this little stunt. With that, she says her goodbye is for real this time, and after that, Kaoru goes to meet up with Emily, who is waiting for him outside the gaming zone. After noticing him, she drifts off, forcing Kaoru to follow her. Curious, he asks the reason she came to this place and gets informed that she came with her father for his election committee, but the location was changed to this place. After roaming around for a bit, she spots an arcade game and doesn't waste any time slipping a coin into it. Seeing her play the game herself, Kaoru begins to wonder why she even called him in the first place. Before long, Emily manages to beat the entire game herself and tells Kaoru that not only did she play it on hard difficulty, but she also didn't die a single time. Knowing that it must mean a lot to her, Kaoru praises her as much as he can, only to be told that his flattery is not enough. This gives Kaoru the idea to pat her head, and judging by the surprised look on her face, he figures that Emily will definitely get mad. But a beet red face follows afterward, reassuring Kaoru that it was the right thing to do. Luckily, he still has 40 minutes to go until the movie ends and only one girl to meet. Before long, he turns up at the concert Yui is performing at and, seeing her perform for the first time, catches him by surprise. After the concert is done, they meet up in the back room where Yui apologizes for making him wait. He tells her not to worry, as it was a delight hearing her sing. Moreover, he wonders what might happen if someone comes inside, but Yui is not concerned, as her manager is the only other person around and she's currently in a meeting. After telling him that, Yui asks if he's thinking of dirty stuff, knowing they are alone, and even though he desperately says that it's not the case, she decides to punish him later. Nonetheless, Yui begins changing behind the privacy screen while Kaoru mentions how good the concert was. Although his words might sound cliché, he really means it when he says that he hasn't heard a voice as pretty as hers. Furthermore, he is sure that she will be gaining more fans, but according to Yui, something like that is impossible. Afterward, she asks him to get her clothes for her, threatening her not to peek as his ears won't be the only thing getting bitten if he does. Suddenly, they both hear someone outside the door, and it turns out to be the manager. She walks up to Yui, asking if she's done changing, and finds her wrapped in a blanket, saying that she's a bit cold. Upon hearing that, the manager leaves to sit at her desk, completely unaware of the degenerate hiding under the blanket, buried between those ultra-thick thighs. Nevertheless, the manager decides to go over the things they have to do after the concert and tells Yui that she has a magazine interview. While she lists all the details, Kaoru turns his face away in order to not look at the holy cave. But this results in his face getting stuck between the thighs, causing him to have difficulty breathing. As Kaoru suffocates, he begins to struggle and is told by Yui not to move, or they'll be found out. Luckily, he somehow gets out of that situation and finally takes a breather while facing the kitty, prompting Yui to make happy noises. Worried, the manager asks if something is wrong, and Yui ends up blaming the cold. After almost getting found out, Yui makes sure to scold Kaoru, promising to punish him afterward. In the meantime, her manager mentions that she has been noticing a lot of things that have gotten her worried. According to her, Yui has talent, an insane face card, and a personality befitting an idol. Because of this, she doesn't want Yui to break halfway through, and to avoid this from happening, she wishes to talk to her mother. As soon as Yui hears it, she yells at her manager not to bring her mother up, surprising both Kaoru and her manager. Yui then mentions that singing and dancing are something she enjoys and gets told by her manager to discuss it if things start getting hard for her. With that being said, the manager leaves to buy some vitamin drinks, allowing Kaoru to finally get out. Witnessing Yui wiping off her tears, Kaoru tries bringing up that conversation, but gets asked by Yui to forget about it. Still concerned, she presses her to rely on him, but she refuses and asks him to leave before the manager returns. Knowing that he still hasn't gained enough of her trust to know something this important, he complies. Before leaving, he whispers to himself how glad he is not to be around for his punishment. Unfortunately, Yui ends up overhearing him and makes sure to bite his nose as a punishment. Eventually, Kaoru returns to the theater where Lisa is still fast asleep. After the movie ends, Lisa regrets falling asleep halfway through when she makes sure to watch all the movies till the end. The two of them then start discussing the movie, which turns out to be a new experience for a background character like him. Ultimately, Lisa asks about what happens in the movie after she falls asleep, and when Kaoru tries making excuses, Lisa says that now knowing the ending makes her sick. Having no other choice, he starts making stuff up, saying that the aliens were born on Earth. But after reading the pamphlet, Lisa says that they actually came from another planet. Having not watched the movie, Kaoru continues making assumptions, and each one of them turns out to be completely incorrect. Lastly, he apologizes for mixing it with another movie and gets told by Lisa not to worry since he left halfway through. Panicked, he asks what she's talking about, and Lisa reveals that she was awake from start to finish and just wanted to see how he might react to her while she's asleep. After that, she questions where he went and mocks Kaoru for leaving after advising her to enjoy the day. The first excuse that comes to his mind is an upset stomach, but Lisa fails to believe him, as she is aware that it must have been another woman. At this point, Kaoru realizes that his life might be over, and before he could clarify, Lisa herself speaks, confronting him for taking care of his intimate desires in the bathroom. Realizing that she's way off point, Kaoru grabs Lisa by her shoulders and tells her that she's pretty attractive, has a pretty face, and silky smooth skin. This is why, in order to cool off, he was walking around this whole time, as he didn't want her to find out how nervous he was. Hearing him say that, she believes his excuse, and they finally end their date on a good note. On his way back, Kaoru blames Eri for messing everything up and tries searching for her. Eventually, he notices someone standing on the rooftop of a building, and thinking that it's Eri, he runs after her. After reaching the rooftop, he starts yelling at her, promising to cut her internet connection. But to his shock, she turns out to be a completely different girl. How long do you think he can keep this quadruple timing situation steady? Comment Grim Reaper if you'd like a part 2 of this series. As usual, thank you for tuning in and we'll catch you in the next one.